Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, and the responses are never dull. Did you bring your thinking caps? It's time to put them on because the conversation starts now. Welcome to On the Edge with April Mahoney Brains. You're back at the spot, the place, where the conversation is pointed, the guests are sharp, the responses are never dull. We are going to Jersey today, and we are going to visit with Becky Nieves. And I'm working on my Spanish brains. Okay, I'm trying. We're going to talk about reaching our highest and greatest good, recovering from that thing called trauma. And sometimes recovery, I'll be honest with you, in my opinion, people are learning to navigate, deal with, accept it. Some people will say, get over it. It's a part of who you are. You can't get over it, but you can get with it. And so we're going to talk about that and a whole lot more. Let's welcome to the show. How are you, Becky?
I am so good. Thank you, April, for that. I mean, I never heard of it spoken that way. Just get with it, just to try. I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to understand why me. They used to say in the church when I go all the time, it ain't personal. Why not
Mhm.
you? Why not you? See, when it happens to you now, you got a testimony because you're able to overcome and adapt. Tell us a little bit about how you found yourself working with this genre of individuals and how you show up in the world.
Absolutely. And just like you just said, it gives you a testimony and it gives you a story. And I work with these individuals because they were me. Um, for a long time, I did question that. Why me? Why all of these things in my life that happened to me? And then when I flipped the script and said, okay, this happened for me. And then I was able to break the pattern and do something a little bit different.
Well, when you found your aha moment and you had your awakening, you know, what happened? Did your eyes start to water? Did your mouth start to drool? Did you shout hallelujah? What happened when you said, I found something new?
Oh, let's see. I've had a couple of those moments for me, and it's so funny. I talk about it like in chapters almost. There was this part of my life, this part of my life. So I've had a couple of those awakenings. I will say my biggest one was not my finest one, and I can admit that. Um, Honestly, I was on the phone with my father. I was 35 years old, and I told him to go to hell.
Wow.
And I threw the phone across the room, and I have not spoken to him since. It has now been 7 years.
Okay. So, how does that make you feel?
Honestly, at the time, better. Like I said, I think I could have gone about it better if I had somebody like me in my corner. Um, but at that point, it was something that needed to be done. Unfortunately, and I'll share this story with the audience. My father is a narcissist, and we went through this whole song and dance throughout my childhood of me trying to put up boundaries, going no contact for, periods of time, and we'd always find our way back to each other. Um, and I would think he would change. He would go to therapy, said he had changed, things like that. A narcissist generally does not change. And it got to the point where it was now affecting the health of my child.
Mhm.
And at this point was where I had to draw the line. So,
Right, right, right. It's a thing called surrendering too.
yes.
And uh, I had a deep meditation, and in the meditation, God told me to surrender, and I was like, "You talking to me? You talking to this Leo? No, you
Mm,
ain't talking to me about to surrender." But what I had to come to realize is surrender doesn't mean give up. It means to let go. It means to relax. Like I said, get with it. Okay, just ride the wave and see where it takes you. You got people like Becky, people like God, good friends that are going to ride the wave with you and understand and not judge you. And they're going to settle into that and they're going to hold space for you. Tell me one of your success stories.
Oh my goodness. Actually, there's a woman that I'm working with now that I'm very proud of. And she came to me initially because she was having a problem with an ex and she thought it was just her choice in men. And then we were able to break down the patterns to find out that it was a lifelong pattern. It starts again, in childhood. And then by seeing the pattern, you can't unsee it then at that point, because then you have those little light bulb moments and you're like, oh, uh-huh. That's why I did that. And that's why, and all the little pieces and puzzle pieces start to click together. And it's like magic just watching that, because then again, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So then you get to move forward, making a different choice. Another funny story I like to say too is breaking my own pattern. After dealing with my father for as many years as I did, I had a horrible choice. And man, let me tell you, if they had issues and were unavailable and all the things, that's who I was attracted to. Until finally I recognized my own pattern. I said, wait a minute, I've got some daddy issues here. Classic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, let me pick someone. My husband hates this story, by the way. But I was like, let me date somebody. Let me find somebody that I'm not attracted to, would not be on my radar, that sort of thing. And I will say it has been 15 years we've been married now, this month, actually.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
thank you. So I broke that pattern because it was like, wait, let me do something that is no longer for me, even though my brain is telling me this is what you know, this is what you're comfortable with. It's kind of like wanting to lose weight and not wanting to eat a salad.
Right,
You can't get where you want to go without doing the unpleasant things. Even if it's good for you, even if it's bad for you, it's the patterns that you know and rewiring those. So I often tell my clients that, like, I know it's not something we want to do,
right.
but we have to do it.
Well, it's moving outside of your comfort zone,
Absolutely.
and that's how you adjust. I tell people that, culturally, you know,
Hmm.
I go to some events and I'm the only piece of pepper in the salt shaker. Oh, yes. And I let my presence be known. Okay. I'm not trying to assimilate. I want you to acculturate. I want you to come and find something new and different and an experience, have a conversation with somebody that's open, that is honest. I'm not all that transparent. I'll be honest with you, because some things I'm a shield. I'm not gonna let you know everything about me. You don't need to know everything about me because you're working on you. You ain't working on me. And that's an issue that people have. Either they talk too much or they don't talk enough. How do they
Yes.
find a balance?
For my clients, I tell them they need to go within and find that balance. I mean, there are a lot of people who make a lot of money and have a lot of fulfillment, whether that's financial or otherwise, by telling their story so that others don't walk that same path. And then there are people who choose to heal in private, which is what I did for many, many years. I was like, I'm just gonna keep my head down, march my little business on, and just go about life, be a mom, wife, all the things. Until that spark came within me. And it's like, wait a minute, if I can help someone else not feel as lonely, not feel as isolated, and not feel like they're crazy. Because yes, narcissism and gaslighting and boundaries, all those things put together, it's a big, heavy package.
It is.
So I absolutely felt called to do something about it. Plus, in my other work, my first chapter, I worked with mental health patients. I worked in corrections. I've seen the best and the worst of humanity. I will say that. And I think for me, as a mom of four, it was like I need to do something. Not, yes, I
You
have
ain't
four
got
children.
no 4 kids.
And my oldest is 22.
Really?
Yes, ma'am.
That's some good moisturizer, girl.
Thank you, thank you. I say I have good genes in that department.
And but that's juggling a lot of balls. And I was looking at something on YouTube, and it was saying that you can have the same parents, live in the same household, and have four totally different experiences. And so, how did you manage six personalities?
Oh, it's a battle every day. I'm not gonna lie and tell you I got it all figured out because I don't. But for me, it's definitely parenting differently. Well, the four personalities that I parent. I mean, don't get it twisted. Sometimes you have to parent your husbands too. But yes, it's managing those personalities and knowing that each person requires different things on different days. And all four of my children are so different. And not only are they so different, the age gap is humongous. I've got a 22-year-old, a 14-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 4-year-old.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So I am used to juggling a lot of things and a lot of personalities and different stages of life because parenting an adult is much different than parenting a toddler. I actually prefer the toddler stage, but don't tell
Mhm.
my oldest that.
Well, and managing yourself, self
Yeah.
care. When do you find time for self care?
I have to make it. I've got to shove it in there. And that's something that, as a recovering people pleaser, a recovering, lack of boundaries person, because I find when you've been raised by narcissists, it's kind of hard to take care of self first. That is something that you have to just make mandatory above all else. And I was one of those moms that I remember the first time I flew with kids, and the speaker comes on there, like, make sure you put your oxygen mask on first. And I
Hmm.
would look at my husband and I'd be like, I'll be damned if I put my mask on first. I'm gonna put the kids on first. And I was like that for years until it finally hit me one day. I was like, I'm burnt out, I'm stressed out. And then you become resentful of the
Oh
people in your life.
yeah. Oh yeah. You hate
Yeah.
everybody and everything.
Yes. And that was that point that I had hit with my own father because I was managing him and his things, my family. I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I'll tell you what, there were unintended consequences for me going no contact. After that, I was able to lose 80 pounds. Struggle with weight
Wow.
all my life, struggle with weight, no matter what I did, come on and off. I've kept it off for 3 years now.
Wow.
It was that
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was that emotional weight that I did not know I was carrying. And like I said, it was just a byproduct. And there was a lot of different things that came after that that weren't on my bingo card, but I welcome them all the same. The opportunities, the leadership. And again, not on my bingo card, but it's what found me once I cut off wasn't serving me anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, so you took all this knowledge, wisdom, courage, and you incorporated in an anthology. Tell us a little bit about your contribution to that body of work.
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm so very proud of that. That's actually been recent, happened in September. There is actually it was the third volume of that anthology, Transforming Pain into Purpose. You can find that on Amazon. I partnered with a publishing house and I believe 60 other women, and we all told our stories of transferring pain into purpose. My contribution was the story that I just told in a more expanded form. Go to Hell, Dad. That was the title of my chapter. Um, and it walked through, what happened then, why I did that, and then, of course, what came after and that.
So you are going to grace us with a small excerpt from your contribution to the book. Lead us in and tell us what it's about.
All right, so here is our book, Transforming Pain into Purpose. Hold on, there we go. And my chapter is titled Go to Hell, Dad, From Anger to Purpose. My mother trusted my father. She loved him unconditionally. It would cost her her children and ultimately her life. Not by violence, but through neglect, and because it honestly wasn't his design to be a nurturer. I can say that now from a place of peace and dare I say forgiveness, but it's still a work in progress.
And
Say it was cathartic because previous to that, I had done some journaling and things that I did not think were going to see the light of day. And it was, like I said, it was healing. It was great to be a part of that work. Amazing women doing amazing things. I'm so proud of all of us.
okay, flip side. Uh, your father, he's a human
Hmm.
being too,
Yes.
and hurt people.
Yes.
So he was subjected to something. You don't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm gonna be this ugly monster."
Hmm.
I'm going to ignore everybody else's feelings. I'm not going to take responsibility or accountability for anything that I do. It's all about you and how you perceive it and how you receive it. And what, me? Are you kidding? So, if you were able to have a decent conversation with him, what would you say to him about some of his characteristics, some of his choices and options that would have been more favorable because he's still who he is or the way that he handled it to smooth over your relationship? How could you make it better?
That would be a difficult one. And we're dealing in hypotheticals because I definitely did try that over the years multiple times. But I will tell him that I understand because I was fortunate or unfortunate that on my father's side, I saw four generations. My great grandmother did not pass on until I was about 32. So I literally was able to look at my family and see the progression from great grandmother to father to me, and even in the wider branches of the family. And this type of toxic relationship, it was rampant in that side of the family. So I understand why he is the way he is, given his upbringing. I have a psychology degree, so I can understand it. There just is not a place for it in my life at this current time.
Okay. And so empathy is important because empathy is a part of the healing process for us, not necessarily for him. But if you can get past that, I know there's a situation that I have facing with a person in my family right now, and they don't even really want to try. They don't want to surrender. They don't want to be considered weak or a victim or all of that. I said, well, you know what, you going to do you because you're not going to drain the life out of me. And that's what they want to do. And that
Yes.
could be friends, that could be relationships with your partner, whatever. They're bloodsuckers. And so you have to figure out when is it time to pump the brakes? When is it time to pull the plug? How do I do that? And then afterwards, you got to sit with that. Okay. So, and then you think about, well, what if I want to re enter this relationship again? What if that person approaches me? How do I do this? Our central nervous system has designed the point to where you think, you smell something, you hear something, and you go right back to that point of reference. You go right back to that. You can't break that cycle. How do you work with your clients to break that cycle of shame and pain and recovering from trauma?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for a lot of my clients, they don't recognize how far and how widespread the pattern is. And I think when I'm going in session with them, they start to feel a certain type of way. Now, depression, anxiety, all those co-occurring mental health disorders, they're generally at play here when you're dealing with trauma. And it's a matter of naming it, but not living in it. And that's two different distinctions because there's two different type of people. Generally, if I'm working with someone who's deep in the middle of trauma, deep in the depression, anxiety, they need to go see a licensed therapist. They might need medication. That's always going to be my first line of defense. Always, don't come to see me until you've dealt with, the more acute issues. Now, once you've kind of dealt with some of that healing, because that's what I did with myself. After I went no contact with my father, I spent a couple years in therapy. And that's what got me to the next point. And then I hired a coach myself to get me over the next hurdle that traditional, psychological therapy can't bridge. Um, but if they're in the acute, absolutely they need to go back there and do that work. And then coaching is where, okay, now I have lived with this, I've dealt with it. What's next? What's the next thing? Because now you've had this narrative in your head of whatever it was with that parent. That's the story you told yourself. You're living there. And it's like, okay, I don't want to live here anymore. I need to move on to the next thing and be who I want to be now, apart from that story. And that's where I come in.
Okay, well, you filled in the gap, and I'm so glad that you're here to do that. So now let's ask you some fun questions.
Let's do it.
Ah, okay. Uh, what's your guilty pleasure? What do you like to do to make yourself feel good when you're not dealing with the husband, the four kids, and the clients? What are you doing for yourself?
It's so funny. I am a self-proclaimed book nerd. If left to my own devices, I can easily read over 100 books a year. So I actually relax by reading psychological thrillers. Yes.
Really? Oh, I know. I don't read them. I watch them on Netflix.
See, that's my husband. It's so funny. I'll be reading a book and I'll be like, if you just read, you would love this book. And he's like, you just need to watch that Netflix. It's a thing. Yes.
Yeah, I know it's a thing. And I like to read, but I don't read like I used to. I'll do the audio book because then I'm multitasking. I'm reading and I'm editing and I'm doing a whole bunch of other things, but staying focused. So if you were an appliance in the kitchen, Becky, what appliance would you be and why?
Oh, goodness, it could be a couple different things. The first thing I thought of was a blender because I like to shake everything up and see what happens afterwards. Um, but also a toaster too, because I can get kind of hot.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah.
know that. I decided to be a trash can
Oh, okay.
because I want to be the place where you dispose of the things that no longer serve you. I want to be the place where you can recycle and renew. I want to be the thing that you take out often and regularly, the garbage. And have you seen the new high-end garbage cans?
Yes, yes, I have. Oh,
They like $250, but they do everything. Okay, I wish they peel the potatoes.
I wish they would. They can compost it. They can do all that. Yeah,
Do
I've
all
seen
of that. They are
them.
really really good. What
Yes.
spirit animal do you align with?
Oh, that is a good one. Tiger. And probably not because I've thought about it, but I've heard people describe me as such. And it doesn't feel unaligned. I will say that's true because I will fight. Obviously, I'm a mama bear too. I'll protect my children, but I am definitely someone who's constantly championing the underdog in whatever I do. That's just
Yeah,
my
I'd be a poodle.
nature. Okay, let's hear this one.
Well, I would because I'm a little bougie. I'm a little parsnickety. I like to be fluffed and tucked and taken care of. I absolutely do. They're very smart. Um, they have a certain strategic move about them. You don't just see poodles, and I love the big ones. You know,
Mm.
they put their Westminster Dog Show. They put that tail up and that head up, honey. You can't tell them nothing. And I went past a poodle about 3 weeks ago, and it smelled like it had on $400 cologne.
Hmm.
I said, well,
Okay.
if I had a choice, I'd go ahead and be a poodle. Now, if you were a car, what kind of car would you be?
I guess in that I would probably delve into I am a Taurus. My bougie side a little bit. I'd probably be a Mercedes.
Okay, ain't nothing wrong with that. I'd be a 1970 VW van
Uh,
with the flowers on the side, a fine brother in the back, a mattress, a hookah pipe, playing some Jimi Hendrix. Oh, it'd be on and cracking. I
the
don't need
flower
to.
child. I got
Yes, yes. I would just be happy. I'd be relaxed in myself. What planet do you align with?
Probably more often than not. And I think I'm not an astrology person completely, but I think Mars is somewhere in my chart pretty heavy this year. And that's kind of where I'm aligning, just because I'm here right now building a movement. And I feel like there are some things that need to be, again, cut off because they're not serving us anymore. And rising with the collective too. That's been my main download this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a bit of a space cadet. I'm going out. I want to be with Saturn. I dig all the rings, the energy, and the force, and not letting people get too close to penetrate, but close enough to observe. So I kind of like that. How do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh, there's so many. And I will say I'm multi-passionate, so it's always hard to pick one thing. But that I left the world better than I found it. I tell my children very frequently, if you are in a position to help, you should, because I think there's so much going on in the world, so many places that I think the good definitely outweighs the bad, even if we don't hear it. So I want to be a change maker as a disruptor.
Okay, well, I'm to do the work.
Yes,
If it's not for the third party, it's for self, right?
absolutely.
Just let that settle in. Sit with that for a minute to see how that feels. Is that, I used to never believe that when they say forgiveness is for you and it's not for the other person. But it is because, you're saying like you no longer have control, you no longer have power over me. I surrender. And surrender does not mean give up. That means just go with it. Thank you so much for being here on the edge with me. If I could find my postcard, because I want people to go back and listen to other edgy conversations. Love, like, share, and subscribe. Becky, tell us how to get in contact with you. That's so important because I want people to work with you. I want them to have a conversation with you. I see that there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of issues, men and women. We were talking about that in the green room, that there are men that don't feel that there's a safe space, that they can be vulnerable, that they can be heard and they can be seen. But there is. And Becky is willing to offer that space and hold that space with you. How do they get in contact with you?
I try to make it easy, one, because perimenopause is a thing, and to make it so that everybody can find me everywhere. My handle on all socials is Becky the Cycle Breaker. So that's TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the places. I answer all my own emails and DMs. My website is of the same name, beckythecyclebreaker.com. So find me there wherever you may be floating out there in the ethernet, and I'm happy to have a chat with you anytime.
Is it psycho or
Cycle. Cycle,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, because we want to break the psychos too.
Yes, we well, yeah, you do that so that yeah, no, that works.
Absolutely. So, Brains, again, love, like, share, and subscribe. Hurry up. I'm waiting on you. Try to raise those numbers. Becky's waiting to talk to you, okay? She's waiting to pour in some infinite wisdom and some love and some compassion, okay? And we're trying to send you your highest and greatest good on the greatest frequency and vibration that we can. I love you guys. Have an amazing day.